So let's just take a little bit of time to notice how you're feeling in your body. And maybe you can remember how you may have been feeling when you arrived. And just take note of the difference. Perhaps there's more spaciousness in the mind. And know that that's possible at all times. So let you yourself continue to, rather than hook to thought patterns, just let them continue to pass by. And that's a practice that requires the utmost kindness. When you notice yourself getting stuck in thought, rather than adding something on top of that, like a judgment or an idea that that shouldn't be happening, that critical voice, just allow that to subside and let yourself relax again as the space of noticing. So there's never anything wrong. This way the mind can become a great friend. So practice is very much about befriending the mechanics of the mind. When we argue with the mind or resist what's happening in the mind, critique, judge, we strengthen those patterns. So here you can become very soft. Just notice and be kind. And you'll notice that when that happens, and you allow that to happen, you come into a spaciousness of allowance and kindness, that you'll naturally descend more in the body. And just notice how good it feels to be in the body rather than the headspace. Taking up space in your throat, in the chest cavity, allowing the heart to be unprotected, just by noticing, not pushing anything to change. Meditation is really a continuous relaxing that allows and offers no resistance to whatever might be happening. And you'll see that there's an incredible intelligence in your body, a very deep, deep knowing that isn't in contradiction, that isn't opposed to anything happening. Very spacious and kind. You may notice now that your shoulders are more relaxed. Let the breastbone and the chest cavity has much more space. And this is the case whenever we empty, whenever we come out of holding. Notice the space behind the heart. And perhaps there is even more space around the upper back and the neck. So your neck can be elongated and lifted. Spine can be lifted naturally by itself. Oh, and then let yourself just sink into the belly. And feel how good it is to sink and rest in the belly. Anchor down in the base of the body. Feel the aliveness in your legs. The base is where your power is. Your fire. That dynamic energy that supports the movement of life. With the feet on the ground. Grounded and anchored. In a way that doesn't need to run or move away. And whenever that happens, or you feel yourself sinking into your heels, just kind of a holding back the movement of this dynamic force. You just notice that and remember what you're here for. Soft in the knees, letting the energy in the legs be fluid. Allowing the feet to relax and feel the support of the ground beneath you. Always being held by a greater intelligence connected to all things. The sense of feeling separate or alone or stuck is only an interpretation in the mind. It's never actually the case. So here is the choosing. When an interpretation happens in the mind, an identity of whatever it might be, I'm not worthy, I'm broken, I did it wrong, all of that negative critique, that's just old. Let yourself unhook with kindness. It's an interpretation from the past. It is only an interpretation, never the case. And this is what practice is. Practice is noticing and choosing not to hook in. Just open, relax, without resistance. And then there may be some feelings and energy that release and move in the body. And you let that happen. So practice dharma is ongoing. It's how we really take all that we've learned about ourselves. We bring it into life. We don't let it be stagnant. It's an active engagement with life that allows you to be you. Because after all, you can only be you. There may have been times in the past where you felt you needed to be somebody different, be somebody for somebody else, hold a role, an identity. And just notice how that doesn't serve. Let it fall off. You may notice much more calm and quiet in the body. And the practice is to let yourself sink into the calm, into those quiet places. And this is then allowed to expand, implode in the system, and transmute those places that don't quite know deeply how free they are, free to be you. This is the coming home to the quiet spaces that aren't actually empty, full of life, full of energy, full of goodness, innocence, kindness. Let yourself be more curious about these spaces rather than what's happening in the realm of thought. And I don't mean the creative thought that allows you to do your work, attend to your family, attend to your relationships, create and make whatever needs to be created. I mean the thought that drags you down and doesn't serve. And when you notice that thought, the one that has a destructive energy to it, you give it space to be here, and you allow the emotional content that's connected to that thought to empty. And it will, just by being kind, befriending, letting it move, not holding it in place, not holding as an identity, as something that's true, because it's not true. It's a false self. Let yourself continue to sink in the body. Slowing down. To notice the clarity that comes in the slowing down. A clear direction. A clear response. That isn't fighting, running, or freezing. Feel the alignment in your body. There can be a resting in the quiet, and at the same time there's a movement. There's feeling, sensation, there's energy. You're never stagnant. So coming to quiet never means to do nothing. It means to listen here for how, for what is the response to any given situation. Allowing habitual patterns to relax and to listen and feel for something different. A deeper knowing to come forward. Yes, just like that. Let the belly breathe. So dharma, practice, is the continuous receiving of you. Receiving more and more of who you are. Never what you thought you should be, or what somebody told you about yourself. And you may have believed it for a while. Just keep taking yourself in. And that's where satisfaction truly happens.